80 years. That is the operational lifespan of one of history's most expensive vacation homes. Built at 8,000 feet above sea level, carved from a mountain ridge using nothing but stone hammers and human muscle, this project consumed the labor of 5,000 workers for 3 decades. The client? Emperor Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, the 9th ruler of the Inca Empire. The cost? Incalculable in modern terms, but we can measure it in thousands of lives, diverted resources from a growing empire, and the opportunity cost of building a fortress that would be abandoned before his grandchildren died. Welcome to the Empire Auditor, where we explore the hidden economics and the true cost behind history's most ambitious megastructures. The images you see are atmospheric, designed to capture the mood and scale, rather than a literal moment-by-moment reenactment. If you enjoy these financial investigations, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next audit. Now, let's continue. When Pachacuti ordered the construction of Machu Picchu around 1450, he was not building a city. He was building a brand. After crushing the Chanca invasion and transforming Cusco from a regional power into an empire, he needed a symbol, not just of victory, but of permanence, of divinity. This was capital expenditure justified by intangible assets, prestige, legitimacy, and control. The location itself reveals the strategic calculation. Perched on a narrow ridge between 2 peaks, surrounded by cliffs and accessible only through controlled pathways, Machu Picchu was a checkpoint between the empire and the Amazon jungle. It served as both a royal estate and a surveillance asset monitoring the eastern frontier. The site could house approximately 750 people during peak seasons, mostly support staff known as yanaconas, who served the emperor and visiting nobility. But here is the critical question every auditor asks. What was the return on investment? Pachacuti invested decades of labor, diverted resources from military campaigns, and tied up human capital that could have been deployed elsewhere. The answer? None. Machu Picchu generated 0 economic output. It produced no goods for trade. It collected no taxes. It was a consumption asset, not a production asset. A luxury retreat designed to demonstrate that the Inca emperor could command nature itself. The empire was expanding rapidly during this period, conquering territories from Ecuador to Chile. Pachacuti's son, Tupac Inca Yupanqui, continued the expansion while Machu Picchu was still under construction. The question becomes unavoidable. In an empire stretched thin by conquest, could they afford this vanity project? The ledger suggests they could not. Construction at Machu Picchu was a logistical nightmare disguised as architectural genius. Every stone, every timber, every pound of food had to be transported up steep mountain paths to an elevation of 7,900 feet. The Incas did not use wheels. They did not use draft animals for heavy loads. They used human beings. Approximately 5,000 workers labored on this project over an estimated 30 to 90 years, depending on which phase of construction we analyze. These were not volunteers. They were mitimayes, conquered peoples relocated from distant regions and pressed into mandatory service under the mita labor system, a workforce management strategy that functioned as both construction crew and population control. The skeletal remains discovered at Machu Picchu show low levels of arthritis and bone fractures compared to other Inca sites, suggesting these were not heavy laborers from the military class, but specialized workers and support staff. The granite used for construction came from local quarries, which reduced transportation costs, but created a different problem: precision cutting. Without metal tools, workers used smaller stones to chip away at massive granite blocks, shaping them through repeated impact. The process was slow, labor-intensive, and required extraordinary skill. The famous ashlar masonry, where stones fit so precisely that a knife blade cannot slip between them, was not just aesthetic.
It was earthquake engineering. The stones could shift and resettle during seismic events without collapsing. But the real operating expense was feeding the workforce. The agricultural terraces at Machu Picchu covered only about 12 acres, producing mostly maize and potatoes. This was insufficient to support 750 permanent residents plus construction crews. Food had to be imported from the valleys below, creating a continuous supply chain burden. Water management was more successful. Engineers designed a system of 16 fountains fed by a natural spring, delivering approximately 3,000 gallons per day during dry season. Still functional after 5 centuries, proving that some infrastructure investments do pay off.
The Inca Empire was overextended. By the early 1500s, it controlled nearly 700,000 square miles of territory, spanning modern-day Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, Chile, Colombia, and Argentina. Roads connected distant provinces. Storage facilities ensured food security. The mita system provided labor for infrastructure. But the empire had one critical vulnerability. It depended on the health and authority of a single individual: the emperor. When Emperor Huayna Capac died around 1527, likely from smallpox introduced by Spanish traders before the conquistadors even arrived, the empire fractured. His 2 sons, Huáscar and Atahualpa, went to war over succession. This 5-year civil war depleted the treasury, destroyed infrastructure, and killed thousands. By the time Francisco Pizarro arrived in 1532 with 168 soldiers, he found an empire in crisis. Not from military weakness, but from internal collapse. Disease was the silent auditor that exposed every structural flaw. Smallpox, measles, typhus, and influenza spread through trade routes faster than armies could march. Between 1520 and 1570, the Inca population declined from an estimated 12 to 16 million down to fewer than 3 million. A mortality rate between 50 and 90%. The mita labor system collapsed. Agricultural production failed. Trade networks broke down. The empire experienced a catastrophic liquidity crisis where human capital, the only asset that mattered, simply evaporated. Machu Picchu was abandoned sometime around 1530, possibly earlier. The exact date is unclear because no one recorded it. Workers left. The royal court never returned. Spanish conquistadors, obsessed with gold and silver, never discovered the site. It sat empty, slowly consumed by jungle vegetation, while the empire that built it burned below in the valleys. The abandonment was not a strategic retreat. It was a write-off. A sunk cost that no longer served any purpose in an empire that no longer existed. Machu Picchu was operational for approximately 80 years. 3 decades to build, 8 decades of use. Then silence for 4 centuries. By any financial metric, this was a catastrophic failure. The project consumed vast resources during a period of rapid expansion when capital was desperately needed elsewhere. It generated no economic return. It housed no strategic military force. It became obsolete the moment the Spanish arrived and the empire collapsed. But here is the paradox that makes this case study remarkable. Today, Machu Picchu generates approximately $40 million annually in tourism revenue. The Peruvian government collects $30 million from entrance tickets alone. Another $10 million comes from related tourism services. Hotels, restaurants, transportation, and guides create an estimated 36,000 jobs. Every dollar invested in conservation delivers $40 in economic output. The multiplier effect is extraordinary. The return on investment calculation becomes absurd. Pachacuti invested 30 years of labor from 5,000 workers to build a royal retreat that operated for 80 years before being abandoned. 500 years later, that abandoned asset generates more annual revenue than many Inca cities produced during the empire's peak. The modern ROI is incalculable because we cannot price the original investment in contemporary terms. But we can recognize the irony. The project that seemed like waste in 1530 has become Peru's most valuable cultural asset in 2025. Machu Picchu is simultaneously history's greatest non-performing asset and history's most profitable real estate development. The empire that built it is gone, but the asset endures. Pachacuti built Machu Picchu to project power and immortality. He got immortality, but not the kind he imagined. His empire lasted less than a century after construction began. His royal retreat became a forgotten ruin. And yet, 5 centuries later, 1.5 million people per year climb that mountain to witness what his ambition created. The empire collapsed under the weight of disease, civil war, and conquest. But the stone walls remain, generating revenue that would make any modern CFO envious. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next investigation into the world's greatest megastructures. And which ancient project deserves a financial audit next? Tell us in the comments below.